Overcoming shyness around practicing. Practice is really important. Without the discipline of regular practice, you simply won't make improvements. But based on a survey I did with about 100 people, the number one thing that stops people from achieving the voice they really want is not being able to practice out of the earshot of others. So they just don't practice, or they're really held back when they're practicing and all this self-doubt comes out. So here are my top tips. Tip number 1. Firstly, get yourself a learn to sing program or take private lessons and record them so that you can listen back and practice the exercises given to you. I know it's stating the obvious, but if you really want to work on your voice, just singing along to your favourite tracks hides all the areas that need improving, but more on that a bit later. Tip number 2, it's obvious that you need to set aside time for this. So look at your daily routine and schedule in whatever time you've got. Ask yourself, when will I be alone in the house? When could I go out to my car if I have to? Can I hire a studio? Or do I have access to one? Have any of my friends got a space that I could use? Or is there a cafe I could use after hours? So think a little bit outside the box. It could be as little as 15 minutes or as long as an hour, but set that time and make a date with yourself to do it every day or 3 times a week or whatever you can manage. No excuses. Even if something better comes up, stop putting off what was going to bring you joy and freedom in exchange for instant gratification like a coffee with a friend or trip to the pub or cinema. Those things can be done, but not in your singing practice time. Write your practice time in your diary, look at your diary every day and make it happen. Tip number 3, if you simply cannot practice out of the earshot of others, you're going to have to learn to not give a rip about what anyone else thinks. This will be a comfort zone stretcher, but the pain of not breaking through your comfort zone tends to be worse than that little bit of discomfort required to do this new thing. So, imagine yourself as a student of method acting. So a method acting student is in a room where they're doing something that they usually only do by themselves. So this could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be playing an instrument, rehearsing their lines, writing a song, or journaling their deepest thoughts. Some kind of task that requires alone time. Then, at some point, someone else is going to walk in and invade their space, and the student doing the task must keep calm and carry on despite the interruption. This means that they have to learn to overcome their shyness by flicking a switch mentally, or at least feel that shyness but carry on regardless without any noticeable change in their physicality. So, overcoming shyness is a practice in itself. When you first start, depending on your current ability, your current personality, you may be really, really good at it or you may be really rubbish at it. But you need to practice it in order to make it possible. Okay? So it's all about managing your state of mind. It's about telling yourself a different story other than the one you've got currently running in your head. About things like, what if my voice cracks and so hears? Or what about if I get the wrong note and it sounds awful. So I'm going to show you one way you can get into that mindset. But before I do, think about what other people are thinking, okay? It's normally a lot different to what you think they're thinking. And I used to live with a fellow singer and we used to do a lot of vocal practice in our own time. It occurred to me that when she was practicing, I wasn't actually listening to her. I was just pottering around, focusing on doing my own thing, and it was just kind of there, but background noise, okay? So these bursts of sounds used to come out. So remember, when you're practicing at home, people probably aren't actually listening to you. It's usually your own self-doubt and self-criticism that thinks they are. And who cares even if they are listening to you? What does it matter in the grand scheme of things? At the end of the day, you're doing what you need to do in order to make yourself happier, to stretch yourself. So tip number 4, remember, practice is designed to sound awful compared to the polished tracks that you hear on the radio. When you practice, you're working on parts of your voice that actually need work. Therefore, they need work and they're going to sound awful, okay? So you're not polished yet. You're in the process of polishing your voice. Even your favourite singer will sound pretty awful when they're practicing because they're working on their weak spots. Think of all the hours of training it takes to run a marathon. You don't just suddenly wake up one day and run the marathon. You have to build up to it. And likewise with the voice. So making noises and doing your vocal exercises is the equivalent of hours of training in the gym. But instead of doing bicep curls, we're just making strange sounds and hitting the wrong notes, but obviously working to get the right ones. So tip number 5. Okay, so you've got your program, you've set some time aside, there's people within earshot, you've told them not to disturb you, and that there might be some strange sounds emanating from your room. Not to worry, you're not dying. Let's prepare our energy and our minds. Let's get into the zone. So here's what I do. So I'm referring back to the physical exercise video that you hopefully have watched earlier. I do my abdominal tapping exercises, okay? Like this. Tap, 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 tap. Fire up that acupressure point in your belly, okay? And while I'm doing it, I say to myself, either out loud or in your head, preferably out loud, if you can manage it, I am not my voice. I am much more than that. I am not my voice. I am much more than that. I am not my voice. I am much more than that. This helps you disassociate your levels of self-esteem with your vocal outcome, the outcome of your practice. Say to yourself, I'm ready for action. I can do this. Nothing's going to hold me back. I'm ready for action. I can do this. Nothing's going to hold me back. Okay? So keep doing that with your eyes closed. Keep tapping and saying these positive incantations to yourself over and over again. Then you're going to tap in the centre of your chest like this. Okay? This starts vibrating the lungs and opening up the heart and emotional centre of the body. Okay? When I say 1, 2, you're going to carry on tapping and say, ah, ah. Okay, so it's like a quick burst of sound. So I say 1, 2, then you go, ah, ah, 1, 2, ah, ah, 1, 2, ah, ah, 1, 2, ah, ah, 1, 2, ah, ah. Okay, so I'm not going to say the now, I'm just going to say the 1, 2. Okay, you're going to feel really silly at first, but tell yourself to overcome it. Keep practicing that feeling of not giving a rip, okay? So, here we go. Tap. Keep tapping your chest. Close your eyes, bend your knees. Focus internally. I'm going to say 1, 2, and you're going to go, ah, ah. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Woo! You did it, well done. On to the next video.